Yo mama's so old, she was there when they adopted the 1911. Oh!
Is this what it takes to get famous these days?
Yes. I've always wondered, what is the next step in handgun evolution? To answer that, we've got to rewind a little bit. The 1911 is arguably the most iconic and successful handguns ever made. It's been around for over 100 years and it's still relevant today. So why can't we seem to move past the 1911 design? Why has it stuck around for this long? That brings us to the 2011, the modern evolution of the 1911. In this video, we're diving into what makes the 2011 special, how it improves on the original, and why it's become so popular. And if you're curious about where the platform is heading next, I've got a bonus section over on We the Free talking about the future of the 2011. You can find... I spit, I'm sorry. And if you're curious about where the platform is heading next, I've got a bonus section over on We the Free talking about the future of the 2011. You can find that linked in the description down below. But for now, let's focus on what makes the 2011 a standout in today's handgun world. If you are out on the range often, you know how important it is to keep a steady supply of ammo on hand and not rely on last-minute restocks or inconsistent availability. Yes, I might be talking about myself, but that's okay. That's where Ammo Squared comes in. They are America's ammunition reserve. You pick from over 70 different calibers, set your monthly budget, and let it build up over time. When you're ready, you ship it. Simple as that. They store everything in climate-controlled facilities, so your ammo stays in good shape until you need it. No hidden fees, no minimums, and shipping's free on orders over $250. I found it's a solid way to keep training ammo stocked without having to think about it. And it's also great if you have a small budget or just want to build a stockpile without spending hundreds or thousands of dollars up front. So check out Ammo Squared. They've got a big community behind them and solid reviews, and it's a good way to stay ready without scrambling last minute. So Ammo Squared. To understand the 2011, we have to start with the legend it evolved from, the 1911. The M1911 pistol, a semi-automatic handgun, was developed in the late 1890s by John Moses Browning and Colt in response to a need for a reliable, self-loading handgun to replace revolvers.
Resolvers. I mean, they do resolve things.
Self-loading handgun to replace revolvers in U.S. military service. The U.S. Army sought a more powerful handgun than the existing .38 caliber revolvers, particularly after experiences in the Philippine-American War, where they proved inadequate against Moro insurgents. The .45 ACP round was chosen for its stopping power, and the Colt design, designed by Browning, was selected after rigorous testing, though the adoption was a slow process for the 1911 originally. In the early 1900s, the U.S. military saw the world of firearms developing rapidly. It wasn't until the 1910s, after John Moses Browning's design had rigorously been tested, modified, and tested again, that it would be formally adopted into the U.S. military. In 1911, the Colt Model 1911 was officially made the standard sidearm by the U.S. Army and replaced the outdated revolvers that were being fielded.
Easy to handle, effective. The handgun is the ideal weapon for both defensive and offensive close-quarter man-to-man combat fights.
Chambered in .45 ACP, it became known for its stopping power, durability, and simple, rugged design. It really solidified its legendary status in World War I, where it saw extensive use and admiration from soldiers who served on the front lines. The 1911 was a game changer in its day and served the military incredibly well, but over time, it started to show its age. Back in the day when the 1911 was created, .45 ACP was an acceptable cartridge, and having more than 6 rounds in your sidearm was considered large capacity. The 1911 was among the early sidearms to be semi-automatic and magazine-fed. Fast forward a few decades and the world was changing yet again. double stacked pistols were becoming a thing. Eventually, a 7+1 round magazine capacity wasn't enough. The world was shifting to utilizing 9mm cartridge because it was 1, smaller and therefore easier to carry and utilized double stack magazine technology, 2, cheaper to produce, and 3, easier to shoot and make follow-up shots, therefore decreasing training time needed per user to become proficient with their sidearm. With the introduction of the 9mm cartridge, the US was looking to adopt this round because of a few key factors. It was already standard among NATO allies, it offered double the capacity compared to the 1911, and it was more cost-effective. This caused the 1911 to become obsolete when it came to military use, and as we've seen both then and now, military adoption influences the civilian market pretty heavily. Now, while all of this was going on, an interesting thing was happening in the world of shooting sports as well. As shooting sports grew, especially in the 80s and 90s, competition shooters started pushing the limits of what the 1911 could do.
There are 378 competitors this year, and that should tell you something about the sport of practical pistol shooting. It's growing, and it's growing rapidly.
Competitive shooters loved the 1911 design. With its preferred grip angle, ergonomics, ease of tuning, and legendary trigger, the 1911 was a standard sight to see in the competitive shooting sports. But competition shooters wanted more rounds without giving up the benefits of the 1911 platform. Shooters needed something new, and many were willing to pay a pretty penny to earn any advantage they could in competition, as they should. That demand laid the groundwork for the birth of the 2011. As competitive shooters and tactical users began demanding more capacity from their handguns, a Canadian company called Para Ordnance responded by developing one of the earliest successful double-stacked 1911 style pistols. They modified the traditional single-stack 1911 frame to accept wider magazines that could hold significantly more rounds, and later in calibers like .38 Super, which was popular among competition shooters for its flatter trajectory and manageable recoil. It is worth noting that this innovation may have been partially inspired by the Browning High Power, often considered the 1911's cousin. Also designed by John Moses Browning, though completed after his death, the High Power was released in 1935 and was one of the first successful double-stacked handguns. It was chambered in 9mm and featured a magazine capacity of 13 rounds, which was a major leap forward at the time. Although the High Power wasn't officially adopted by the US military, it saw widespread use around the world and shared several design philosophies with the 1911. Because of this, it's often seen as a conceptual precursor to the modern double-stacked 1911, now commonly referred to as the 2011. That brings us to one of the most influential players in the 2011 space, the company that actually coined the term 2011. Virgil Tripp, a shooting sports enthusiast, gunsmith, and 1911 tuner, in 1982 started creating custom 1911s. Flash forward to 1993, he joined forces with Sandy Strayer to form STI, which would eventually become Staccato, and create the world's first double-stacked 1911, and they called it the 2011. Now, this is where things get a little spicy. Both Virgil and Sandy were both passionate about the 2011 and couldn't agree on how to run their businesses, and their differing opinions led them to split into two different companies. In 1994, Sandy left STI and joined forces with Michael Voigt. I don't even know how to say that. Michael Voigt. Voigt. Don't know. You know what I'm saying though. Sandy left STI and joined forces with Michael Voigt to form SVI, which is now known as Infinity Firearms. Between STI and SVI, the 2011 platform was born. It wasn't just a modified 1911, it was a complete evolution, built for more capacity, more performance, and a whole new level of competitive dominance. STI would maintain the 2011 trademark, although nowadays 2011 is a term used similar to Kleenex. When you hear 2011, that generally just means it's a double-stacked 1911. Though Staccato STI is the only person who can use the official term of 2011. That's why you'll see other companies label their guns as double-stacked 1911s, although it really just means the same thing. After its introduction, the 2011 quickly started making waves in the competition world, especially in IPSC and USPSA matches. The double-stacked capacity gave shooters a major advantage, allowing them to shoot longer without reloading, and the design made tuning the gun for specific needs much easier. The softer recoil impulse, combined with the crisp 1911 style trigger, made fast and accurate shooting far more achievable in competition. Throughout the late 90s and early 2000s, top shooters across the world started switching to the 2011 platform. If you wanted to be competitive at the highest level, a 2011 became the gold standard. At first, 2011s were highly specialized, expensive, custom-built, and mostly limited to serious competitors. But that success laid the groundwork for what's coming next, the move from competition-based into tactical and defensive shooting. Now, we saw the 1911 originate in the military world before becoming a staple in competition shooting. On the flip side, 2011s took the opposite path. They began strictly in the competition scene, and now we're seeing them move into the duty, military, and law enforcement space. Fast forward to today, and the 2011 is not just a niche firearm anymore. It's a mainstay in the world of high-performance pistols with a variety of brands and even clones offering their own take on the platform. Let's break down what's happening with the 2011 today. Probably the most famous name associated with the 2011 today is Staccato. In 2019, STI made a bold move and rebranded as Staccato to reflect a more refined, tactical-oriented brand. This rebrand wasn't just a name change, it was a full pivot in philosophy. 249. Staccato started refining the 2011 design for law enforcement, military, and civilian concealed carry. They focus on ruggedness, real-world reliability, and a more user-friendly platform, all while keeping the elite performance the 2011 is known for. The result? Staccato guns like the P, C2, and XC became some of the most sought after and highest performing 2011 style pistols on the market. And today, Staccato pistols are carried by over 600 law enforcement agencies nationwide. I personally run Staccatos in my tactical games competitions, and it runs exceptionally well. But now we have seen another distinct change within Staccato with the release of their new HD series. It is a serious game changer in the 2011 platform in my opinion. With its fresh design, enhanced features such as an ambi slide lock and a lack of a grip safety, and with a focus on versatility with the compatibility with Glock mags, the HD series pushes the boundaries of what a 2011 can be and gives shooters even more control and versatility in a duty-centric 2011. This is a direct response to what users wanted, a more refined, duty-ready 2011 that doesn't sacrifice performance. Another key player in the 2011 world is STI or Infinity. Known for their custom-built, competition-focused 2011 pistols, Infinity guns are often seen as the gold standard for serious competitive shooters, offering extreme accuracy, customization, and performance. These pistols are fully built to order with a level of detail and precision that makes them highly sought after in shooting sports, particularly in disciplines like USPSA. In addition to Staccato and Infinity, other well-known manufacturers have begun to produce their own versions of the 2011. Stealth Arms has the Platypus. Why did they call it the Platypus? I don't know. Just reminds me of Phineas and Ferb. If you know, you know. But there are also brands like Wilson Combat, Atlas, and Nighthawk Customs who offers high-end 2011 inspired pistols that focus on craftsmanship, reliability, and performance. We even have the Oracle Defense with their 2311, which is basically a 2011 that takes SIG P320 mags. Today, the 2011 is everywhere, from the tactical world to competitive shooting and in the civilian market. The versatility and performance of the 2011 platform continues to drive its success, and it's safe to say this is one trend that is here to stay. Give it a little break. What's up next? Why is there such a long gap? Now, if you want to see my opinion on the future of the 2011 and where I think it's headed, then go check out We the Free for a bonus section in this video. You can sign up through the link in my description down below. Thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments what your favorite 2011 is and where you see the 2011 going. But like, subscribe, and check out ways to support the channel down below, and we'll catch you next week. Insert FUD joke here.